We are live. Wow. Well, we can't see anybody, but we're live. Oh my goodness. How does this work? Okay. Right. I cannot.
Emma, before you start, I'm just keeping an eye on our Westminster thing, and it says starting in a few seconds.
Oh, okay. Cool. In that case, we'll hang fire.
Now, but just in case you start launching into it and it suddenly pops up. But it says 46 on my clock.
Okay. I'm just going to see if we're live. Are we live?
Looking at the web page, the live event.
Yeah.
Go and do it again and see if it. Oh, it's there now. It's there now. I just refreshed it. It's there now.
Okay. So how does it work? How do you do it? Well, we're such novices here.
Play. I think if you go to that website, you push play. So sorry for anyone who is actually going to be listening to this bubble. We've never done it before, so it's all a bit of fun. Okay, I'm going to mute myself now and let you go for it.
Okay. I'm going to start, hoping we have some people out there. Welcome to Westminster Degree Show, and welcome also to the first event that Illustration and Visual Communication are running this week. And I'm really, my name is Emma Dodson, in case anyone doesn't know. I'm course leader of Illustration and Visual Communication. And I'm really, really pleased to be able to welcome back Amelia and Evie, and we might be joined by Julia, hopefully later on today. And they are wonderful 2020 graduates who've been out in the wild world of work, and they're just come back to talk about their adventures. And what we'll do is, if they do a little showcase or a little presentation, what they've been up to for the last year, this really strange year, and then we'll open it up to some questions. So it might be questions from me. If we're able to communicate with you guys out there, it will be questions from anyone listening. Apologies for looking like a novice at this technology. That's what I am. And this is the first time we've done it. So apologies if we assume all sorts of things that can't happen. But what I'll do is I will, let me pick Amelia, because you're orange and you're coming at me. If you wouldn't mind going first, just share your screen if you're going to share some stuff, and I'll just keep quiet. And over to you.
Amazing, thank you. I'll just find out how I can share the screen. Share screen. Ooh. The screen, share. I think that's done it. Has that worked for everyone else?
Not yet, Amelia. So
okay.
Have another go at that.
Okay, let's try again. Share screen. Share screen. Ta-da? No?
This is strange. Yeah, let me just have a go at doing it from this side.
Okay.
And
it says at the bottom of... Oh, no.
I've got to share screen sharing tips. Blah, blah, blah. Don't show these tips again. We're on a good computer. I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm just going to share a background and see if that works. Can you see anything? I think, Emma, you might have to, if you look down the bottom of...
Maybe it's something I have to do. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I can see it as a little thumbnail, Amelia, but I can never... Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, share again, Amelia.
Okay,
sorry guys for this learning as we present. Okay, let me see if I can click on that. Aha, we have it. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see? I see.
We see it.
I can't see you guys, but if you can see that, then
we can see it.
Okay, go.
Okay, amazing. I'll start. So my name's Amelia Potter, and I'm a freelance illustrator. I graduated last year, and I'm just going to take you through a few of the projects that I've been doing since graduating. And there you go. Is it moving, the slides? Are we on the next slide? Or...
Yeah, it's all moving.
Oh, it's moving. How about now?
Yeah, Yeah, it's all moving.
Okay. Okay. So, I'm just a self-employed illustrator. I work on a huge variety of different projects. I've got a little list here of what I do: concept art, storyboards, character design, animation, album covers, illustrators, portraits, children illustration books, illustrations, graphic design, comic books, photography, and skateboarding, fashion, basically. So I do a huge amount of different projects. It's very like just client basis of what comes through. A lot of my work is shared through places like the Dots, Behance, and Instagram. That's how I get all of my work. People email me and give me all sorts of different topics to do. So here's a little thumbnail of a few different variety of stuff that I do. And yeah, lots and lots and lots of different stuff. I like all the flexibility because it's really great fun and it keeps work very, very interesting each day. My most exciting piece of work that I can finally talk about is that I worked on a Guinness advert. But I did it about a year ago and I've only just been allowed to talk about it. So I did the storyboarding for the Guinness Six Nations advert, which came out recently. I haven't got the actual video link here, but I've just got a few kind of shots of the advert that I did. A lot of the stills were then used on advertising on like Facebook and YouTube and their Instagram, for example. So here's a few shots that I did for them, which is really cool. Half of the advert did actually get not used in the end because the rugby got like pushed back or something like that because of COVID and that. But this was one of my funnest projects to have worked on since graduating. Then I can't actually show the storyboards that I did for Guinness due to like contracts and that, but here's an example of a few other storyboards that I've done for people. So I worked with a guy who worked at Pixar and got to do some storyboarding training with him. So here's an example of a few storyboards from that. And very busy stuff. And then another thing I've been doing recently is being an assistant art teacher with Frances Linda. I can never say her last name properly, sorry. Working for Creative WizKids. She's an artist who sells her paintings in Saatchi, and she founded this school called Creative WizKids, and I've been working just part-time as an assistant teacher there, doing little fun workshops with kids anything from the age of 2 to 13. So it's during they're super young and getting them super inspired by art. And I get to dress like a tiger to work like every day. It's really cool. Another really cool thing I worked on recently, I did an International Women's Day collaboration with This Things of Ours studio. And it was a massive collaboration that I got selected to do alongside 90 other female illustrators, and it got featured on like Creative Boom and that. And from doing work such as this, I managed to get them more work from other people. So it's been a great exposure for my work and for my commissions. And then I've done some tips for surviving graduating, sorry. I think the year that is just about to graduate is involved in DNA New Blood. That was actually a place where I managed to get my Guinness work from. I got interviewed by a guy there who then got me the work for Guinness. I would say another tip is just keeping your portfolios super up to date. Have lots of portfolios, maybe for different types of work if you're very multidisciplinary like me. Keep it all up to date, keep it good, keep it fresh, and keep it current, basically. Create a shop if you'd like to earn like money from your work. So as well as doing commissions, try running a shop like Etsy or something like that. I've listed a few sites that I personally use for freelancing, which is like Fiverr and People Per Hour, Dribble, Behance, The Dots. They've all got like job boards on there. So sometimes you'll see people like asking for freelancers or something like that. Just apply for them, and that's where I get a lot of my work from. And same with LinkedIn. Collaborations are super cool at uni. Like I've made some great connections there, and they're definitely connections that of people that I will work probably with in the future again. And then keep your CV fresh, and contracts. If you're working for someone, make sure that your work's going to be safe and you're not going to get used, you're not going to get scammed for any artwork. Always get a contract, get both sides in writing so that you're safe, they're safe with your artwork. so that everyone's happy and you can get paid at the end of the day and nobody's work gets stolen. So yeah, they're all my tips. Yay.
Emma, unmute.
I've just been told that we're actually not running live, which is a shocking thing. But what I'll do, I think I have to embed something. I don't know how or what. So what we'll do is we'll keep going. And what might happen is we might spring into life at some point. But hopefully we'll be able to embed this so people can actually view it. So I'll keep working on that. Thank you so much, Amelia. That was really interesting, actually. I mean, I had no idea you had so much variety of work going on, which is kind of amazing. I'm really interested to learn a bit more about how I mean, obviously that's coming all at you, because you're putting your work up in all the right places, but maybe we can talk about that a little bit later.
Yes,
yeah, no, cool. Thank you. Hello, Julia. Welcome. Evie, I'm going to ask you to have a go next. I'm going to be busy in the background and try and see if we can embed whatever I should have embedded.
Just click on Julia's icon.
Sorry, say that again.
I think we have to click on Julia's icon so that we can...
to let her in. Oh, yes, you're absolutely right.
We can see her.
Hi, Julia. Sorry.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Sorry, I'm not very good at this technology.
No, all good. That's fine.
This is kind of nice. It feels kind of like a small, intimate surrounding. So we're going to listen to Evie now while Emma and Caroline desperately try and fix what's wrong in the background. So yes, thank you very much.
Okay, Evie, you're good to go.
Evie, you're still on mute, my love. Don't worry. We're all doing it, aren't we? Well, the good news is we can see your screen really well. You just have to unmute.
Unmute. Okay. Wasn't that full screen a minute ago?
Yes, I can see your screen. It's great. You've shared that really well. Excellent. Off you go.
Is that full screen now?
It's gone dark.
Okay. I think it's just going to have to be that size then.
Yeah. Is it? What is it? What are you using?
Adobe Acrobat.
I think you can collapse that side panel, which might make it a little bit bigger. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
So my name's Evie and I graduated last year. Okay, so I've got some examples of my work here. Some of them are self-defined projects and some of them are working to briefs. So I've got greeting cards, pattern design, jobs that I'd like to do, some merchandise that I've done recently and some competition entries. And then I've got some more work that I've done since graduating. So again, all the competition entries, commission work, and also like some pet portraits and family portraits. That's what I got a lot of work out of at the beginning. Yeah, that's kind of all the work I've shown. And then I've just got some like tips and stuff. I also have a shop. I think this is a good way of earning some money from your artwork, and you can do it so you're not really losing any money, because Etsy is quite easy and cheap to use, and then you can just get your prints printed as and when you sell them. So I think that's a good thing to do. My tips are to create a good portfolio, have a website, make a portfolio which is 1 megabyte JPEG, and basically send that to any company that you want to work for as art director. You can find their emails on LinkedIn, or if you just do a lot of digging. That's how I've found a lot of my work. I've also found lots of work through Facebook on like local area groups. A lot of people post opportunities that way. And and like, yeah, just pages. Like there's a group called Girls Who Graduate, and a lot of people ask for illustrators on there for just different projects. So that's a good tip. Let me just. Also, I've listened to a lot of talks by illustrators because there's been a lot of free illustration talks and stuff over COVID. Everybody says draw every day, so I'm passing that on. Be honest with your pricing, and a lot of people have. I've had times where I've kind of given a price and people have said, oh, that's too much, that's too little. But if you just explain that you're a graduate and you want the work, and you can normally find a middle ground. So I'd always say be honest with that. Keep putting your work out there. And there's lots of help. So I found a lot of help through uni with the Creative Enterprise Centre, with the Big Idea competition. Orange Beak help children's book illustrators. The Arena, they do mentoring. You can also get mentors through the Creative Enterprise Centre, the Association of Illustrator. Picture Hooks is another one for children's book illustration, and the Good Ship Illustration, they do courses, and they do like a Friday meetup, which I think is quite good. And then any questions, but maybe not. And yeah, if you want to see more of my work, you can check out my website or my illustration page on Instagram.
That's great. Thank you so much for that, Evie. That's just really helpful. And also what's quite nice is we get quite a lot of different tips from you all. So it's a nice balance. And it's also really interesting to see how you have to go out and really sort of work to find work, actually. So it's my pleasure, and unless Emma wants to do this, to introduce Julia. And Julia, where are you based at the moment?
Am I still on mute?
No, we can hear you.
No, I actually moved back to Germany just after I graduated. Pretty much like the main reason was really just because of COVID, and I was really struggling like to find work. So like it was genuinely like a struggle. So I moved back to Germany, started applying, and now I'm working as a graphic designer for the visual merchandising concept at a German fashion company called S. Oliver. Not sure if you've heard of it, but so it's like quite international. I'm not quite sure if we do have stores based in the UK. I'm not sure. No, actually we do not, but we're still quite international, but it's a lot of fun. So I'm thinking I'm probably like from like the round here, like the only one who's not like a freelancer at the moment. But yeah, it's much fun. It's much fun.
Well, it's going to be actually really interesting to hear what you've got to say then. I just wanted to, because talk you through sharing your screen. At the bottom, there should be a little share button. And if you share it, then Emma will click on it, and then we will all see it, and we'll go ahead from there, if that's all right with you, Julia.
That's absolutely fine. However, I don't have that much work to show than the other two, because I'm not allowed to show too much work at the moment that we're working on. However, I do have like one example like of what basically I'm working on most of the time, and that's already been published. So I was allowed, thank God, to show it. Yeah. So let's see, share. So I'm meant to share the screen, no? Yeah.
Yep.
And then I click on share screen.
Yeah, and then Emma will click it. You won't see it yet because Emma will, when it pops into the bottom bar.
Okay, hold on. Actually, I can only. Why is that not working? Okay, let me try again. Me and technology. I'm actually only fluent in Microsoft Teams, which is actually quite funny. But let me actually quickly see if that's gonna work. Got way too many windows open too. Wheel. Let's try again. Well, I can only share my full screen, but then basically like the miniature shows the current screen that I'm seeing with the chat inside. So I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong. Jesus. Okay, so there's this screen that I actually want to share. Now I don't have any winners, right? So, oh, there we go. That should do. Okay, got it. Is it working?
We're not seeing it.
Oh, no.
Weird.
Don't worry,
That's
Julia.
strange.
We've just gone through this with everyone else. So let me just say, share. When you go to share screen, yes, there's the entire screen, a window, and a Chrome tab choice. Are you sharing a PowerPoint or are you sharing a web?
It's an InDesign PDF, so it's actually already exported.
Okay, so it'll be a window, won't it? That you should share.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Why is it not? No. Oh my goodness.
I'll tell you what, just as a backup, do you want to quickly email that to me, Julia? And we might do a sort of a weird thing where I share it with people.
Yeah, because I've got the window open in the background, but for some reason it's not. Okay, never mind.
Or something. Yeah. Do you want to just email that to me and I?
Yeah.
It's an exciting way round doing it.
Feel free to keep talking. Yeah, anything that you want to sort of introduce.
Maybe we'll talk in the background and give Julia the time and focus to send off that email. So yeah, exactly. So as Emma told us, apparently we're not completely streaming the website like we hope to, and I think what we'll probably do is we'll put the recording up for people for later.
Apparently people can see us now. They've gone through a link on YouTube, so they are able to view us. So, but I'm obviously not to communicate with us. But I will. If anyone is out there watching us live-ish, if you have any questions, feel free to send them to me, my email. Only those who know my email will know what that is.
I don't even know.
I don't know if we can share it in the chats with you.
Yeah.
But it's e.dodson@westminster.ac.uk. So if you have any questions for these guys, send me an email, and we can ask those in due course.
Emma, there are some comments in the comment section. I don't know if you can see that. You can see some people are saying hello and.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, that's good. Where is the comment section?
Next to the private chat bit on the right side. If you go on comments, and there's a few people saying hi.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, don't worry about anything I just said. Just chuck them in the comments and Amelia will find them and I will eventually. Oh, private chat. Yes.
Right. Oh, well done.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, good. Oh, that's
all
good.
of those people who are listening and your absolute patience.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to share Julia's right now.
Is it working? It's
Yes, it is.
Okay.
This says share. Is that sharing, Emma?
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Yay!
It really only is like a tiny, tiny, tiny presentation, but
that's okay.
I'm just going to talk a little bit more then.
And if you just tell me when you want me to go to the next page, Julia, you just say next and I'll.
Okay, perfect. Right, so I'm Julia. I've graduated from Westminster last year as well. I'm originally from Germany, so I moved back to Germany after my graduation and then started applying for job roles for different kind of agencies as well as like bigger companies. So I actually ended up getting a job at a German fashion company called Oliver in Germany. And I've started as a graphic designer for the visual merchandising concept. So it's kind of an area that I wasn't really thinking of working in, if I'm honest, because first when I graduated, especially also like during university, I was always thinking, right, I'm going to be an illustrator big time. Like I'm going to freelance. I'm going to work at an agency doing really all this illustrative and very artsy stuff, let's say. So obviously that was like a completely new area for me, working in visual merchandising. Now I'm not quite sure if everyone kind of is aware of like what visual merchandising is. It's very marketing related. So visual merchandising actually is all about like how to present like a store layout pretty much for clothing brands, and like doing all like the artsy shop window concepts pretty much for each collection, and working on different like marketing posters, A3 inlays, all that stuff that's really happening to make people basically walk into a store and make people be, you know, aware and focused and attracted on to the newest branding collection, basically. So if you want to go, Caroline, if you just want to skip to the next one, right? So that's where I'm working at currently. So this is our S. Oliver HQ in Germany. Basically, I moved from London to it's literally like a tiny village with just like a huge campus, which is quite funny. But it's a very artsy and very creative and very innovative environment. So I'm actually really liking it there. And the one thing that I think really did help me most during university to get prepared for the job world was really like working on tiny projects and working to tight deadlines, and knowing how to work with briefs and knowing how to deal with briefs and little projects, and also how to deal with feedback and not taking it too personal, because this is literally how it is. Right, so what else is there? Yeah, we can actually skip to the next one. So basically, this was one of the works I was allowed to show when I was talking to my boss, because there's actually quite a lot of projects coming up at the moment that we're working on, but I'm not allowed to show because it's still like internal. So one of the things that we're really working with as well is we're collaborating with different artists as well around the world, because obviously currently, because of COVID, people can't really exhibit their work, starting from students, starting from graduates, starting from different types of artists from different industries. So that was basically a project where we allowed artists to use our like shop window space as exhibition space. So this is kind of like just something collaborations that we're also working on, although we're just a fashion brand really. But that was quite a fun project, because that was a project in Prague that we've been working on with a local artist there. And actually, can I remember her name? I cannot remember her name, but if I find her on Instagram again, I would totally share the link with you, because she's been doing some really beautiful work. So yeah, so we're creating some, you know, window concepts with artists, and then obviously also as well, just for every single new collection. Yeah, as I said, it's very marketing related, not what I had expected and where I saw myself after graduation. But it's a lot of fun. It's very digital. I'm still doing my sketches, but it's extremely digital. So one tip that I can give you is, if you ever had the chance at university to really take part in any workshops for any Adobe program, and you had the chance to practice more, because that's what you will need for the job world in literally everywhere. So that's something that actually all these little workshops for Adobe really had helped me to kind of knowing the software, and also knowing how to use it and knowing how it works, because obviously you will be in a working environment where either people will just expect you to know, and that's something that I kind of had to learn to deal with as well, if that kind of makes sense. Because when you graduate from university, you kind of know what you're doing. You kind of know, you know, how to get on with everything. But sometimes you might be at a point where you just really don't know. So yeah, actually, oh my God, I'm actually talking so much right now. Anyways, getting to the end of my presentation, top tips that I can actually give a graduate: do not get frustrated when it's not happening right away. Like that's normal, that's process. There's a lot of people out there with beautiful work, great talented skills. So I can only agree with Amelia and Evie here. Keep your portfolio fresh and updated all the time. Like, this is the most important thing ever, and get yourself out there. Even if your portfolio might be self-defined projects, every single designer has started with a self-defined project just to show your work and like your ideas, your process, the way you're working, and companies will know. So that's absolutely fine. And I think another tip that I could give you, I think kind of regardless if you want to be a freelancer, if you want to work at a bigger company, read through job descriptions, see what the agency is looking for. If it's mostly digital work, if it's more, you know, like scribbled work, if it's more like printing data, if it's more book illustration, and then kind of see if you can, within your work that you've been producing so far, that you can just kind of like narrow it down to this one company and just really like stand out with a beautiful portfolio and with your own style. And keep your CV up to date as well. That's an important one.
That's all really great tips, actually, Julia, because as you were saying that, I was thinking, yes. I thought what would be, I don't know, Emma, how you feel, but it's so great that we actually have some people who are listening. We were so worried that we'd completely alienated the audience through our lack of technical understanding. So I guess if any of you have any questions, please do feed them into the comments, and we can discuss them, because we haven't got a way of actually voice. So please do feed them. And we can then ask people. I just wanted to say something that you forgot to say about herself. Evie is a winner of the big idea competition. So I'd just like to give Evie congratulations, because you were up against, a lot of people did actually apply for this competition, and Evie actually was one of the prize winners. So Evie, I just wondered, because you sort of skipped past that a bit, and I know it's really difficult blowing your own horn, but could you just give us a quick talk through that sort of process? Because I think that would be really interesting for people. We've got quite a number of current students who are listening, and that's something that they could also apply for.
Yeah, so basically you had to submit a 60 second or 2-minute video, basically saying how the prize money would help you, kind of what you do, what you want to do. And then from there, they selected 15 finalists. So there's like 3 different sections you can be in: the freelancer, the ideation, where you have a business idea, or when you have a business kind of up and running already and you want funding to help that. So I went for the freelance category, and I was narrowed down to one of the 15 finalists. And then we went through a few days boot camp where we kind of learned more about how to promote ourselves, about how to create a pitch deck, what our business stands for, kind of like looked in on like what we do and how we can kind of achieve what we want to achieve and what is that we want to achieve. And then we did a Zoom, I think it was Zoom, a live presentation for 2 minutes in front of a panel of judges, and then we did a question and answer with them, and then they chose the finalists from that. So just had to put forward what we wanted to achieve with the money, and kind of who we are and what our services are.
Perfect, thank you. I mean, did you find the boot camp helpful in just top tips for how to maximize your potential, how to get maximum kind of clients coming to you? Was it helpful in that respect, do you think? Do you think the networking side of things?
Yeah, definitely, because the guy who runs it, he's called Matt, and he really puts you on the spot. So I found that quite good. But I also did, when I graduated, I did a freelancing boot camp with them for, I think it was 5 days, and that was also through uni. So a lot of it was kind of building on that, and it was quite nice to see kind of how my answers had changed and how I was way more focused, and like I can make such a better presentation now than I could when I did the last boot camp. But yeah, it was really intense, and it's like kind of looking at things you don't think you need to know as a freelancer, but you probably do. So like we learned about making a slogan and like what our core values are as a freelancer. And yeah, like how to sum yourself up or how to sum your work up in a few sentences. So yeah, it was really helpful.
No, that's amazing. So yeah, I mean, even though it feels like quite a challenge, it's a definite recommendation. And I think, yeah, I think, Julia, I think your sort of wake up into the world of work, it feels under the surface that basically it was a lot of challenges that you met, you know, how to become more resilient perhaps under a certain amount of stress and pressure, but you are completely smiling and you seem very positive about it. So it's not something to shy away from, huh? It's something to embrace, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like thinking back over the past few months, so like my life literally had made like a 360-degree turn, kind of, from really just being a student and still, you know, being at university, studying and working on my final project, really starting into the job world like big time. Because as I said, I was kind of really mainly focusing on like agency jobs and like trying to get my portfolio out there, and I really wasn't thinking of really starting at a big company, working as a graphic designer. And I'm currently the only graphic designer on the team, so all of a sudden there was just so much work coming in, and that's when I kind of realized, right, what actually helped me to get through this like first stage of kind of like, you know, all this like new information coming in, and that was really, as I said before, kind of like what I got from university, like from the course specifically, like really just like how to deal with briefs, or even when you have colleagues coming in saying, right, I've got this and this and this like idea, how to visualize it, and they don't actually have a plan. It's just they're like, well, we've got like 20 different options, but which way do you want to go down? Like, so yeah, it's a lot about, it's not only about like graphic design, it's also about how to communicate properly and how to really set your own deadline and knowing, right, what can I actually do in this time, because it always takes time to kind of produce something visually, either if it's print data, or I've suddenly started doing animation, and like back in the days I was like, animation, now I'm not going to do this. So I started doing that again because someone had recently asked me, oh, actually, Julia, have you ever worked with After Effects? And I was like, kind of. You know, I'm not sure if Alejandra is in the chat right now, but like, you know, she's literally like the animation pro here. So yeah, I don't know, it's a lot of fun. I'm absolutely loving my job because it's, as I said, it's a quite interesting area. You know, it's like mixed, like retail mixed with graphic design. And I honestly never thought that I would work in a marketing department, doing all like the adverts for all the stores worldwide, all of a sudden, as if someone had pushed a button and it all started. So
I think that's really interesting. And what it makes me think about is for all of you actually, and maybe if you could each have a turn at going through this, is the three of you are actually working in commercial environments, whether it's as an entrepreneur or a self-employed person or working for a company. How easy is it for you guys to still make space for your own personal, what I would call personal work, or your own sort of experiments and explorations? Perhaps Amelia, if you start, and then we'll go Amelia, Evie, Julia. I just was interested.
To be honest, I think that's one thing I still struggle with at the moment, is making time for my own work, because a lot of it, I mean, I don't have to say yes to all the work, but I like to say yes to all the work. So I kind of haven't found that balance necessarily of like sacrificing all my own sort of work that I want to do to work for really cool and big opportunities, because I don't like to let opportunities slide. So it's something I've still struggled with, but I'm about to get better at it, because I want to write a new comic and I've only just got round to doing it. And it was a new idea that I had last year, but now I've managed to balance my time a lot better, I think, because I was taking on so much work all the time. So yeah, now I've got some me time coming up.
Just for our listeners, what year did you graduate, Amelia?
Last year.
Yeah,
so July.
Yeah, so actually that's right. So it's really, you've only been out there for a year, so it's something to learn, isn't it, as you go along? How about you, Evie? How did you find that?
Yeah, I'd say I'm the same. Like, you get opportunities and you don't want to say no. So the kind of way I encourage myself to make work is forcing myself to post on Instagram. And a lot of the work that I'm doing is like commissions. I can't post on Instagram, so I have to make work to share. So I have to make time for it. Sorry, my mom's just ringing me. And then, yeah, I would say, I don't know if it's and then, yeah, I would say the jobs that I do say yes to, I try and make them, like, I make work that I like. So like I'm designing some cards at the minute, and to be fair, I like them so much I don't want to give them away, but I've said yes to this brief, so I have to. So yeah, I think just make work that you like when you do work for commissions, and try and make time, but it is really hard, especially when you're like paying rent and you've got bills to pay. You have to say yes to certain jobs and certain hours to help keep that up. But yeah, I think just do as much as you can. And obviously, if you enjoy illustration, then it's not a chore to make your own work. You can do that at the weekend and on your day off.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, all of you have only just graduated, as well as you, Julia, haven't you? I think, were you all in the same
year?
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, I think you can all give yourselves a bit of a break in the sense that you're just getting to find out what it's like, working and how. What's your experience of that, Julia? It sounds like you're really busy all the time.
Yeah, well, it's been quite challenging and overwhelming first, because like all of a sudden starting into like a full-time job, like 40 hours a week, is really just a big thing, and I thought I was prepared for it, but I wasn't. So also when Amelia said she was kind of struggling to find a bit of like a work-life balance, was it? I agree here. Like, I was struggling as well to kind of find that like sort of like inner peace to like say, right, I'm gonna shut my laptop and sign and sealed. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm not going to think about work anymore. So because yeah, also as Evie said, like you kind of don't really want to miss opportunities. You kind of just want to keep going and like keep working and keep exploring what you like and what you don't. Now, obviously, I'm not a freelancer, but when it comes to like different exciting projects that had been coming up, I was just like, yes, I'm here. I want to do it. Without thinking that I might need some balance in my private life as well. So I'm actually thinking about doing, well, I do have a Behance portfolio, but I haven't really updated it recently. But I was really thinking to maybe really getting into it again and really doing just some whatever scribbles I'm doing in my free time, that I might actually just upload it on Adobe Stock or any kind of Behance portfolio website and just connect with people, because at work I can be creative, but I still need to stick to company's guidelines.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's like a thing I was also really struggling first, because I thought, oh my God, I can be creative as I want. And then you do 20 layouts and 19 are for the bin straight away. So that was something where I had to really find like my balance. So I've actually started in my private time just like really just doing scribbles and whatever I wanted and like to draw that I couldn't at work, if that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense, because I think you're right, is what we often call our personal practice. It's almost a kind of a space to be ourselves. And obviously, if you're working with clients, you're not trying to impose your own views. You're working with them and for them. So it's a very different kind of creative process. I find it interesting because you've all been out, you're all recognizing this, and you've actually only been out of university such a short time, and all of you have really been very active in going towards trying to find ways to not only continue your learning, like Evie, you were talking about those sort of workshops you attended and how to continue developing your skills, but also how you're thinking about that kind of balance of how to work, what to say yes to, perhaps what to, I think you're right, Amelia, as well. You said something very valid. As you're starting out, you want to say yes to everything. And I think that's probably going to be okay for the first year you graduate, because you want as much experience as possible. I'm just going to ask a really bit of a tricky question, unless Emma has a question she wants to put.
No, you go ahead. I mean, I was just going to add that I think it is important to, I was talking to some illustrators the other day, and they were saying after a while, you do have to either do something that really does challenge you to be very creative in some way, or just keep making work that is your own, that is about, because otherwise there's a danger that you'll end up just being asked to do the same work that you've always done, and after a while that can be a little bit dull. So I think you're all right in a way. You all understand the need to just keep working just your own doodles, your own ideas, your own fun stuff that makes you happy, or try some new media, or try something new. Just challenge that little challenge. But yeah, no, I haven't said anything new. Caroline, yes, another tricky question, please, from Caroline.
So sorry, I don't know if anyone can hear me, but I sort of zoomed out for a moment. My tricky, can I still be heard, Emma?
Yeah, you're all good.
Okay,
Loud and clear.
I just did all these twirly things, so I thought, oh no. My slightly tricky question is, have you yet come across something that felt a bit uncomfortable or a bit difficult? Not telling you to sort of make yourself completely vulnerable to everyone, but just something that you felt you learned by, that perhaps you could pass on to the people who were listening, as you started your working life. Amelia's sort of nodding. Amelia, do you want to tell us?
Yeah, I had a very big experience recently like that. I mentioned in my presentation about contracts. So being freelance, obviously you get people being like, can you work for free? And you're like, no. To some extent, it's okay to say yes if you've got that much free time on your hand and you're really going to benefit from it. But you get people being like, oh, can you work for free all the time? And you're like, no. But I had a really professional company come to me, had several interviews for the design role. It was going to be full-time, all that sort of stuff. But they refused to give me a contract. So there was no safety net at the end of a month of working 40 hours a week, each week, having no contract. not having the guarantee of being paid and having my work like used as much as it wanted to be.
Goodness.
So, and this happened like twice in the past, like 2 months. And it was two different companies did exactly the same, but one of them was a lot more kind of bigger than the other. But I had to say no to the work because I didn't want that risk to take of working for them for a whole. It was a 6-month contract, and then just to not be paid at the end of it. So I think you'll learn and your experience from certain things, and it will help you. Like I have an amazing invoice system now. Like before, when I started off, I was just like, you owe me this, you can pay it then, and that was it. But there's people being like, oh, but you didn't set a date for me to pay you. Oh, you didn't specify this, how many hours, blah, 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 blah. So it's a lot you learn from experience, and you learn what to add and how to be more professional in giving your invoices out.
Did you go to any organisation to find out, to help you with this when you were in this position when people were trying to use you without a contract? How did you solve that problem?
So when I was at uni, I was part of the CEC, which did the Big Idea project as well. And we had the opportunity to do a pop-up shop in Covent Garden. And for the 6 months prep work that we did, we had workshops about how to be safe and secure, how to use like copyright and your signatures correctly, and your invoices, how to work out stock and money management stuff. It was really, really good. And that is where 90% of all my knowledge came from, of how to prepare myself for using my artwork in the big wide world. And then the other percentage of that is just learning as you're going along, really. And you just keep on adding, and I learn every day. So,
well, that's super helpful. And especially to current students who are listening to this now, or anyone who's starting out in that working life, is to know that there is support there, and you don't automatically know all this stuff. And actually, the same thing happened to me when I graduated, and I'm sure it happens to loads of art graduates, where it's a little bit exploitative out there. And I think you've just got to be I think the enthusiasm of actually getting a job sometimes can make you sort of walk off a cliff. So you have to be a bit guarded, and always run it past someone you trust and just say, hey, they're asking me this. Or if you're not sure of the contract, absolutely. And also there's the Association of Illustrators, which our course is a member of, and they've got really good advice. I just wanted to ask Julia or Evie, have either of you got something like that might have happened to you? It's okay if it hasn't. I hope it hasn't, anything too uncomfortable.
I would just say, know when to say no. I had a lady come to me asking if I could illustrate her book. She asked me a quote. I gave her what I thought was quite a reasonable quote, because she was using a Kickstarter to fund her book.
Right.
And then she came back to me and she basically said, oh, that's ridiculous. That's way too much money. I want to charge you, I think, £500. And I thought, £500 for 32 pages of illustration, wow, that is not worth my time. And I think, £500, all that sounds lovely, but really when you work out how long that's going to take you, it's just ridiculous. So you just need to know how long things take.
How did you, obviously she sounded like she was coming from a place of quite determination and strength. How were you able to, obviously you said no.
Yeah.
How did you feel about, there's that negotiation, isn't there? How were you, did you feel you were able to manage that okay, or?
Yeah, so I'd illustrated a character for her to demonstrate my work for free. And then after that, she said, oh, I really like your stuff, but it'd have to be this price. And I just said, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to take that on. And then it turns out she actually came back to me a few months later and said, can I actually use your image to promote my book? And I said, well, yes, but you're going to have to pay. And she did. So I think you've just got to stand your ground and be confident with it.
Well done. Yes. So she wanted your image, and there's a copyright with that. So that's really great. Well done. What about you, Julia? Has anything cropped up like that might actually help people who are listening to think about how they might manage a difficult situation?
Yeah. So obviously not like a similar-ish situation like Amelia and Evie have experienced, but I kind of have to agree with Evie here, learning to say no when you should say no. And in the company world, it's kind of like very, very similar. So basically, I've got this one colleague. He's all right, but obviously he's a graphic designer as well. And funnily enough, he's from London. So any email correspondence is completely in English, which is quite a good practice for me, if I'm honest. Anywho, so he's been working in the field, obviously, like for a quite long time, for quite some time, but he's the kind of person, he doesn't really see me as a graphic designer with skill set, because I'm much younger than him. I've just recently started. So he's got, it's kind of hard to explain, but basically he's got this sort of attitude or thinking, I guess, where he thinks he can just like email me a bunch of stuff and I'll just do it because I'm the new one and it should be finished like yesterday. And that comes with pretty much any kind of little project. Let it be a window sticker for Europe that needs to be rolled out, or just bigger projects, doesn't matter. He always thinks like, well, whatever he can't finish, he's just going to pass it on to me and I'm going to do it. Even though he knows that my timeline is indeed quite tight. And I obviously would know that too. But then I had this mindset, right, I'm the new one. I don't want to make anyone angry. Let's do it. And in the end of the day, I would, well, usually I'm starting at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I would sit in the office at my desk until 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening just to finish the work that he's been passing on to me because I thought I had to. And it took me basically it took me like my whole probation to really be, I want to call it brave enough to really say no, because I was like, well, I'm still on probation. I shouldn't be saying anything, right?
Right.
Which sometimes isn't the right thing, because then people are kind of testing you, like, how is this new person communicating? How can I actually pass on any single project, or is she actually saying no? Is she just, finishing the work that I wasn't able to finish? And so I did that mistake, I guess, to just say yes and amen to pretty much everything that he's been passing me on during my probation. But then once my probation was finished, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And this is kind of when I really started kind of learning and realizing it's a really long process, actually, because I genuinely wasn't sure if I was in the right place of saying no. And this is difficult. It's a hard one. It's just 2 little letters to say no. And as Evie said, it's a hard one, honestly. And I was really struggling with that. So that's something that I think does matter in what industry you're going to end up as a graphic designer or illustrator. I think in the creative industries, it's important knowing to say no when you really have to.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting about that story is that we sort of go through training and work in corporations and different roles, but actually there's a lot of micro communication that goes on, which is about power and how people use power. So I think actually finding ways of coping with these situations, especially understandably, you wouldn't say no when you were in probation because you completely want to be taken on after probation. So I'm not surprised at all that you were staying there till 9 o'clock as any enthusiastic new worker would, because they want to get a good reputation at that place of work. But thank you all so much for sharing this. I think these kind of things are really helpful for us to think about. And I'm just going to hand over to Emma because I'm sure she has a question.
Not so much, but I'm really proud of you guys and your maturity and how you've dealt with this, because that I think it is a very tricky. I think when you work in the arts at all, people think you just do that because you love doing it. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter that you need to be paid, it doesn't matter that you need food or a roof over your head, or you need to be warm in the winter or anything like that. You just do it because you love it. So I think this is a very, your attitude is really commendable. And I think it's a really tricky one when you're fresh out of university. Absolutely, I feel your pain. I'm sure all those things happen to me as well. But people will take the mickey. They'll test you. They'll push you. They'll try and see how far they can, what they can get out of you. So yeah, no, well done, guys, for sticking up for yourselves with that one. I don't know if I have any more questions. I mean, I'm really happy to listen to the experiences that you've had this year, and I think I think what's the take home for me. I mean, I remember you all as very proactive students, and I don't know if you feel you would have survived as well had you not kind of just taken every opportunity that came along while you were at uni. I wonder if you'd have felt as confident maybe to enter the world of work. I don't know. I wonder if you can evaluate how much your time at uni did prepare you. Obviously, you've all talked about things that were a bit of a shock and a bit of a surprise and needed to adapt to really, really fast. And obviously, I'm listening in because I'm like, oh, well, I need to know how to improve the course and make people much, much more work ready. But I think your proactive attitude has allowed you to gain a foothold in this very competitive world. And I just wondered if there was any last, top tips, maybe not for the third years who are launching themselves. Well, yeah, actually for the third years, they're the ones that are listening in. Absolutely. Are there any the most important thing, each of you, that you think has happened to you this year that's made you go, oh yeah, I can carry on with this work, or no, I need to do it a bit differently? Is there one overriding key learning opportunity that's a takeaway that you've had from your world of work that you could pass on to the others? Or if you've done all your top tips, maybe you have. They've been amazing, by the way. Amelia.
I think I would say just work doesn't come to you. You've got to go and find it. You can't sit there thinking I'm going to get found and people are just going to see my work. You have to actively apply for things. You have to talk to people. You have to connect with people. And that is something that uni definitely taught me, especially when I was at uni and talking to people in my class, as well as people across different courses and stuff like that. The work doesn't just fall in your lap. You have to go out there and get it. And don't be afraid to not go out and apply for something. Just go and do it, because you don't know what the answer could be. So
yeah, good advice. Be bold. Yeah. Be confident. Go for it. Definitely. Anything else from Julia or Evie? Does that sum it up?
Yeah, I'd agree with Amelia, but I'd also say, like, as a freelance illustrator, think about having like several income streams. So like having cards on like Thoughtful or Scribbler, having a shop on Etsy or Shopify, like doing, pet portraits or family portraits, then trying to do your other projects, which you're reaching out for, and then potentially like a part-time job, or there is illustrator jobs where they'll give you 15 hours every month, and that's all of these things add up, and they do count, and they normally lead to other things.
Excellent advice too. Thank you for that. Any last words, Julia?
Well, I have to agree with Amelia and Evie. Definitely be bold, be brave, and put yourself out there, because as Amelia said, there's nothing going to come towards you unless you actually work for it. Which I said, it can be tough, but if you work hard for it, it will be rewarding. Definitely. Doesn't matter how long or how short it's going to take. It might take some time, it might not take some time, but if you put yourself out there, just honestly go for it. I think what also kind of helped me to kind of keep an overview of where I had applied was I was setting myself really just like a couple of days where I said, right, I'm going to sit down at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to write my applications and maybe just do a list of perhaps, I don't know, 3 or 4 jobs. You can find plenty on LinkedIn and other different platforms, and just really schedule just a couple of days and just apply. Just, you know, put yourself out there and see who's going to respond. And someone will get back to you. That's for sure. Someone will, like, for real. It will happen. And then I think, obviously, I'm not a freelancer, but for anyone who would be interested in working for an agency or a company, keep your digital software skills up to date. Like that's I'm pretty sure you will need it for freelancer jobs as well, obviously. But for companies, they will want to see it. So that's definitely something that even after university, even after you've graduated, just really do keep exercising, because you can lose these kind of like skills within these programs really, really quickly. So that's something that I think I could give you guys on the way as well.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been really, really insightful. Really, really, I've been really entertained as well. And really, I'm very proud of you guys, how you've done this. I think you're amazing. And keep doing it and keep in touch. We'd love to know how things are going for you. And I'm really happy that it's been a positive year. It's been the most rubbish year in many ways. So I'm glad you found some strength from it and got something really positive from your endeavors. Thank you so much for all this great advice as well. That's really been brilliant.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you everybody for your patience and our technology hitches. I'm glad you all got to get some insight and actually arrived and found us in the end. Anyway, I'm hoping that the next thing that we do is not going to be quite so traumatic. We've got another thing coming up on Thursday, so I'll send some information around. But I think you just bob in and it'll be a pre-recorded rather than a live session. But yeah, no, great. Thank you all. Thank you for our contributors. Thank you very much for all of you who came and joined us this evening. Okay, take care. I'm going to end our broadcast now. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.